I've had to work around a number of distractions as AstaZora has already started setting up traps, but I'm focused on getting this bee farm going. We got all the bees together in the last episode, and I want to get this bee farm built. I'm going to start by tearing this old one down. We're not going to need it anymore. And then I'm going to put the new one way up in the sky, high enough that hopefully we don't get any Endermen teleporting to it, because they can be a real pain. So there we have it. This is the hive. It looks pretty small as I'm flying into it, but as you get closer, you kind of get a sense of the scale. And as we come inside, you can see all the bee farms working up here. It's actually a really big structure. So the original plan was to build this as a full 7 hexagons. So the center one would be there, and then there would be 6 around it. And that would have been about twice the size of farm as what I ended up with. But again, we would need twice as many empty bottles, and I already took a few hundred shulker boxes of empty bottles in order to get this farm working, so we just don't have that many empty bottles right now. I might come back. Now that I've seen it working, you can actually see there is 1,000 bees in this farm right here, and my frame rate is not suffering at all. So we could probably stand a bigger farm than this. However, this was a pretty big endeavor. It took me about 3 days to do this. This one was a lot of work, and it is still a very fast honey farm. Makes 960 honey blocks per hour, so that's 15 rows per hour, a little over half a shulker box. Very decent farm, so it'll do for now. I could just build the faces so we got the full honey farm. I could just build that part for now and then maybe come back and build the rest of the farm. I think it's fine for now. I'm just going to leave it like this. I think it's still pretty cool looking. I know that our theme for the end is space and sci-fi, but I still think like having a giant hive like this is an alien bee race or something like that. I think it still kind of qualifies as sci-fi. The way I decided that it does. So that's all that really matters. I think this is fine. I really like the design, and I really liked how it turned out. So this is the same honey farm design as I had before. It was a design by Il Mango. I just have a whole lot more of them. So I had 2 of these modules before. So basically just that section right there. And now each row has 2 modules, and there are 21 rows. So this is 21 times the size of my old farm. And it's got something like 363 beehives. It was quite a lot of work to set all this up, get all the bees in, and I actually had to preload all the dispensers with the empty bottles. And you can also see the one change I did make is that now we've got mine carts delivering all the bottles to each of the modules. So there's a winding system of minecart rails that runs across all of them, just back and forth over and over again, and that will deliver empty bottles to each of the modules in turn. So that's working pretty well. There is a small issue about that I need to go over in just a second. But yeah, I mean, the farm's working great. And then we've actually, all the items come out through here, and then they're sent into a shulker box loader over here, and we can actually see that working. And then the filled shulker boxes go into a crafting system over here. We actually got a decent number of shulker boxes of honey bottles right now. So I can actually show you how that works real quick. It's actually a really cool system. We've got the same crafting system I've used before. So it's normally just these 2, except I got another output module. This one's for the glass bottles. So I would pull all these out. I would craft using item scroller, a whole bunch of honey blocks. And so we do that again. And then it's useful to just throw all the glass bottles on the ground. Keep doing that. There we go. There we go. And then I would pick up all the glass bottles. I can throw them in here. Oops, not this one. Here we go. And it will automatically crack that, dispense another one. Come over here, fill up the honey bottle, the honey's here. So I've already gotten one shulker box. I should have at least another shulker box. Just from when I was building this farm, it created 2 shulker boxes worth of honey blocks. So that'll hold me for quite a while. But there is a couple of issues that I need to figure out. So one of them is, so we can actually see that the mine carts have all stopped. Yep, they're all stopped. It just stopped because basically it will fill the shulker box, and then as soon as it's full, it will send out the next one. The problem is if the whole system is full, then most of these mine carts will come back full. So they will already be full, and it will send it through. It'll detect that it's full, send us away, send the next one, already full, send us away, and then within like 15 seconds, it sent all the mine carts. There's no more mine carts over there. So I think what I need to do is just set it up on some sort of timer. I need to figure out the right timing, and instead of sending the next minecart when it's full, just send each one on a timer, fill it up, and then send the next one when the next timer run comes on. The other issue I'm having has to do with the minecarts as well. Every once in a while, they will end up with a honey bottle inside of them, and when they do, it will not detect that they're full, and the minecart will just end up getting stuck there. So I noticed that in creative, but I thought I was like dropping honey bottles or something like that. I'm picking up honey bottles now from the water stream there. But I thought I was dropping honey bottles. I thought it was my own fault, but now I'm seeing it in survival as well, which means sometimes honey bottles are just ending up on top of the rails. So somewhere down here, I need a little filter system that'll drag the honey bottles out of the mine carts before they make it over to there. I think that should work pretty well. And then it's so often, I'll probably just put it in a chest. And if that chest ever ends up filling up, then I'll try and move it up to here. But I think it's like one honey bottle every 20 minutes or something like that. It's not a not very often thing, but I do need to figure it out because it does stall out the mine carts. So let me go figure those 2 things out, and then I can finally clear up all my project boxes here and finalize this honey farm. All right, that wasn't very difficult. I got myself a standard sorter, 2 of them down there, and those will pull out any honey bottles from any mine carts that roll over top of them. Just going into a chest down below, I don't think there will be very many of them, so I'm not trying to send them up here or anything like that. If there end up being a lot, then I can worry about that, but I think there'll only be a couple of them. And I've got a hopper timer back here, and that's actually controlling the mine carts now, so you can see it should go off fairly soon. There it goes. And it should actually, these should be fairly close to full. So it sends it off pretty quick, but it's not sending the next one. It's going to wait until the timer goes off. So that should solve that problem there as well. So yeah, I think we're all done here. In my last episode, we participated in No Die December. It didn't go particularly well, but we decided to have a second round where we would try and entice each other into dying. No PvP, no TNT was the rules. Asta has jumped right on board on that. I've already caught him unloading a shulker box of pufferfish right here at my portal. I asked him what he was doing. He said nothing and just flew away. And he also unleashed a raid on my villager hall over there. I was actually able to just ignore that. And he says that there's another trap around here somewhere, and I still haven't found it. And I've been pretty much everywhere, so I don't know what he did there. But he's been pretty gung-ho at getting those traps set, so I should probably follow suit. I've got a few ideas for things that I can do to Asta's base. However, I know that he's going to watch this episode, so I don't want to basically just show him what I'm doing as far as traps are concerned. I post my videos on a pretty tight schedule. There's a really good chance he will watch the video before he actually triggers off that trap. And I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to record what I'm doing, and then I will play that back in a future episode after he's actually triggered those traps or after a certain amount of time has passed. However, there's one thing that I think I can do on camera. See, Asta has been intentionally turning off the mob switch from time to time in order to get us mobs spawning around us and kind of surprise us that way. That works pretty well against Karm, who has a new base in a new area, but my base is in a pretty controlled area and it's perfectly mob proof, so that doesn't really work for me. However, the same cannot be said of AstaZora's base. It's actually, there's some pretty dark areas over here that spawn lots of mobs. I recently used this in order to get zombies, and I think I can actually help the process along. See, I'm actually going to be doing him a favor. You see, look at all this sea lantern spam. Like, that's just messy. See, I would be doing him a favor if I just went ahead and removed all these sea lanterns for him. See, I'm helping out. I'm cleaning up his base a little bit and forcing him to come up with a better lighting solution. I'm a swell guy. So, I mean, I hope he appreciates what I'm doing for him. This may mean that he will decide that he doesn't want to continue turning off the mob switch, but you know what? I would be glad to help with that. See, this is what I'm talking about. Torches? Come on, Asta. How long have you had this base? You can do better than this. As far as Carm's base goes, though, this one's going to be a little bit tougher. He started less than a week ago, and he's really only been clearing out the jungle. It's just a bunch of exposed space, and there's not really anywhere to hide anything. So I don't know what I can do here. Might have to give this one a little bit more time. But I will say, first of all, this looks amazing already. Look at all the detail that he's put into the landscaping already. It looks astonishingly good. He's already starting to show what a great builder he is. And he's already hiding his light sources. Asta, I'm calling you out. Less than a week, and he's hiding his light sources. Do you see a torch anywhere around here? Yeah. Oh, I finally found it. He put some pufferfish in my little lake right here. I've missed this. I've run past this a couple dozen times. I've never noticed this. You know, he's probably going to want to keep these. I should probably find a way to give these back to him. Wouldn't that be nice? I had a bit of an inspirational moment. I don't know why I was thinking about basalt generators, but there's actually a number of 1.16 farms that I haven't built yet, and a basalt generator is one of those. And I was thinking about it, and the thing with basalt generators is that there's always going to be a gap between the streams of basalt because of the way that the generation works. And that makes it hard for TNT to blast it all at once. And so I was thinking about it, I'm like, maybe if I could push those all together. And so I stole a few ideas from AstaZora's farm, and I ended up with a proof of concept where I'm using two sets of pushers to push together into a more TNT blastable stream of basalt. And I was talking it over with AstaZora, and we came up with the idea that if I pushed it up initially, then I only need to push it once. It's a little more compact, a little easier to build. And so I took that idea and I scaled it up into a full basalt farm. And it's mega fast. I don't know if it's the fastest there is, but it generates 120,000 basalt per hour. So that's going to be pretty awesome. And so I want to build it now that I've got the farm all designed up. This is where I've got my piglin bartering hall right here. The nether hub is a few hundred blocks in that direction. I think this is a good place to put it. We can come back and put buildings around these things, and maybe we can have a little city in the nether or something like that. And I can AFK both at once. They shouldn't lag each other out, shouldn't cause any problems with each other or anything like that. So I think this would be a good place to build it. So let's build ourselves a basalt factory. This basalt farm is so mega. I'm actually really surprised. I took this from a vague concept into a fully built farm in less than 24 hours. It's just like an accumulation of everything I learned just came together and worked really well. I haven't messed with TNT blast chambers too much. I've built a bunch, but I've never really designed one. So messing with the timing and everything like that was probably the hardest part of the farm. I was trying to use the same blast chamber that I used for my cobblestone generator, and that one didn't work because it's like directional. And so I ended up throwing it against honey, and that has the advantage that you can actually do multiple TNT at the same time, and that worked really well and didn't require very much timing. It's just the drop distance that needed to be timed, and that wasn't too hard. And then if you come down here, the item collection is all stuff that I've done before in some way or another. We've got a flying machine to sweep it off because we've got a large area. It falls mostly near the middle, but some of it falls off to the sides and stuff like that. So we had a large area where the items were dropped, so I want to collect them onto the edges. And then I've got this feed tape here that goes around because most of them would fall onto these hoppers right here. So I needed the feed tape to kind of distribute it across. They don't usually make it over onto this side, but if they do, then they get sent over to the other side and vice versa from that side onto this side. And there's 2 4X loaders on each side. So yeah, 120,000 items an hour requires 2 4X loaders. And then all the items get shot into an item elevator, and then there's just a bunch of storage. And I was doing some video editing between the time lapse and now, and I've got over a double. I actually had 2 double chests, and I've taken some back to my base, and I've gotten even more since then. So that's pretty amazing. It does tend to fling small amounts of basalt all over the place. I think it's when they like land on the flying machine and bounce off. But it's such a small number compared to 120,000 per hour. It doesn't, you don't even notice it in the rates. The rates are still 120,000 blocks per hour, so I don't worry about it at all. This thing, I'm really proud of this. This is a fantastic farm. I don't know if anybody needs a farm that's this fast, including myself. I actually don't need basalt right now at all. I know Asta does, and I probably will at some point in the future, but I didn't need this. I just built it because the idea popped into my head. And so I went with it. But if anybody else is interested, I'll put a schematic down in the description, and I'll make a video for it in a couple of days. So that's all I have time for today. Slightly shorter episode than normal. I took quite a while to set up that honey farm, so not a lot of footage there. And then there's some footage from setting up traps that I can't show in this episode. So it's kind of a weird one, but I still think we accomplished quite a lot. That mega honey farm is going to be very awesome. The basalt farm should be pretty cool as well. And hopefully, I don't think any of these traps are going to get Asta just yet, but we can start ramping it up, and that should be a lot of fun. And we should get them soon enough. So also, I want to mention that Karm has released his first video. He released it a day before I released this video, so I will link that one up in the corner right now, as well as in the description. You should definitely go check that out. He actually has a secret bunker that he's hiding from us that I didn't notice when I was there, so that's kind of interesting. But other than that, I want to thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you again real soon. Bye now!